Hello, this is the Game Philosopher, and today we're talking about nothing more than anecdotes as part of our How to Argue series. Now, a lot of people dislike anecdotal evidence for whatever reason. They don't think it necessarily proves anything, and this is only a partial truth, and we'll explore why. So, what is an anecdote? So, an anecdote is a personal experience that you have heard or have had, but you can't necessarily prove this experience happened, but you could actually have evidence from witness testimony that something happened. So, say you're inside some court case and someone is being accused by you of stealing all the cameras were off for some reason. The modern technology with fingerprints weren't really working because they covered their hands. And pretty much no one really knew by any form of evidence other than witness testimony that this guy was there at the time and did this. So essentially, what's going to happen is you will get up and you will say, I've seen this happen, and this guy has done this. So then what would happen is you would want to take some witness, like some other witnesses, not just yourself, and say, did you see this happen? Did you see that happen? And go down the list of questions to try to draw out the story. And so you have this other anecdote from this other guy. Then you go around to other witnesses that might have been there, and even in the surrounding areas. And what happens is you would eventually build this case that this guy was there and most likely did it. This is most likely the guy, and his appearance looks just like the guy on the robbery scene that actually stole from the store that you witnessed, and through that you would prove that this guy did it. And yet at the same time, it's not as certain, of course, as statistical evidence, and I'll get into statistical evidence in a different video. But statistics versus anecdotes, I think really people need to realize that anecdotes can actually give us more details, while statistics cannot give us as much detail. So, taking a different example, say you like this really great product, and someone's arguing with you that this product is terrible because 90% of people, or 20% of people, or 30% of people, 40, 50, whatever you want, say that it's bad, and everyone hates this product. So, why do you like this product so much? Or you would then, seeing the statistic and seeing him say everyone, and you would say, well, not everyone does, and here's the reason why I know that I like it. Here's the reason why I know these other guys like it. And why shouldn't we like what we like? And you go through this anecdotal evidence, which contradicts this entire idea that everyone likes or dislikes something. And I think anecdotes actually, as a result, can play a balancing role with the statistical evidence. And a lot of times people make the fallacious argument of overgeneralization because they take this uh, statistic and jump for joy, and they assume the majority of times this has happened, so therefore this must be the case. Now, not necessarily the case. It could be different this other time. And that's where anecdotes come in, so you can actually say, this is what happened, and this is why this happened, and this is why it's so different. So that's pretty much the thing about anecdotes being personal experiences that you can actually say, that's not quite right. But also, anecdotes can also act as a way of wisdom. So you hear someone tell their story and you think about their story. And as you're thinking about their story, try to listen to the wisdom of the story. And when you listen to the wisdom of the story, you actually start learning things. And that's how you obtain wisdom from the experiences of others. And people who do not like anecdotes would say perhaps that anecdotes are useless and that's just anecdotal evidence and you do not know. But it's better to trust people if you don't know anyway. It's better to trust that, this event happened and so it's a possibility that something could happen because there's at least one person or two people who have experienced something. And so you have this delicate balance between the statistical and the statistical and the anecdotal, which always plays a role in looking at an argument, looking at creating an argument, and dancing with it a little bit so that you can get the most wisdom out of something. And when you use anecdotes in an argument, you have to make sure that they're pressed forward as not so much the defining characteristic of an argument, but rather something that gives it flavor to say, okay, so this is my argument. As you've heard this other evidence say, this is why this evidence is right. Then you take the anecdote out from your mind and say, these experiences have happened, and in particular, you want to see that this could happen because of that. Like your mystical experiences from the theistic argument, you have your arguments that are sorry, I don't know my Latin very well, so, or Latin pronunciation. So you take these a priori arguments and say, this is true. It's by contingency. God must exist. Oh yeah, and by the way, I've had some mystic experiences. I know other people who've had mystic experiences, and we're obviously not irrational people, so I think and I believe that there's a God. And so that's better than just saying it's contingent upon the fact that the universe is contingent on the fact that something must have created it, something that was uncreated, and so on and so on and so on. Now, that other type of argument, it's good argument. It's a good argument. Don't get me wrong, but it's bland without anecdotal evidence because once you have anecdotal evidence, you can prove from these anecdotal arguments some very interesting things, which would actually give your arguments a little bit more flavor. So this is all I wanted to say on anecdotal evidence. Stay tuned next time for a very interesting video. Like, comment, subscribe.